today. I just got in like, I don't know, 100 dozen of both virility and fortitude, so that's available right now if anyone wants to try that, but that's not really the point of the stream. You guys know how this works. There's only one of you in the chat right now, but the more questions you ask, the better the stream is. So, I also realized that this stuff shows up on like the YouTube Shorts feed, so we might just get some weird ass questions. Um, but yeah, I don't know how to start this as per usual. Um, looking strong. I mean, I am I've been dieting for like 2 months at this point, and I'm finally like at the point where I have some kind of visible abs. It's just I've been sick for 3 weeks and I just feel drained at this point. But let's see. Just give me 1 second, guys. I wanted to see if chat's gonna work on my laptop because I got old man eyes. So Hitman says his deload weeks is ends tomorrow. I haven't pumped since then, but let's see. Everything is healed for the most part. I got some identity load. I think you figured out. I don't know what you mean with that. I'm a bit of a mess today, guys. But yes, everyone needs to do a deload week, in my opinion, specifically for PE, because like you will just constantly bang up your deck. It's going to be near impossible to hit the point where you're like able to heal perfectly between each workout, and you're just going to eventually have some kind of cumulative fatigue where it's just going to build up and you have to take time off to let it, fix itself. And that's going to be like the sweet spot, probably about 6 to 8 weeks. J Bets. Hope you had a good weekend. Not really. And this it was more like this is a whole nother topic for another video, but I've been more focused on trying to figure out why I have like righteous anger. And basically, it's a form of resentment, and that's something I've been working through. So, if you guys are actually into that stuff, I'll make like a whole bunch of content on that because I'm kind of an expert at it at this point. And are we gonna get workout content? Probably one of relating to sexual health, not so much for bodybuilding because there's a lot more knowledgeable people in the space than me. But like I've had the epiphany that I just want to be more than just the dick guy because I can do a lot more good with everything else I know and everything else I struggled with. And if I can help other people get over the same shit that I did, um, it's just going to be a net good overall. Okay, Jacob. Can I do PE every other day so I can do arm wrestling workouts my other days? So, I mean, yeah, I just don't know how effective it would be long term. I would personally tell you just get a device because like 20, 30 minutes of tugging on your dick, it's just tiring after a certain point. That's going to be the main reason why you stop PE. Excuse me, guys, still a little sick. Instead of like just having to do the work yourself, if you get a hanger or an extender, it's just going to make your life a lot easier and you're able to stick with it a lot easier. So, Zode, nice to see you again. How are things? I mean, I'm actually in a very good mood for the first time in a while, and I'm trying to keep that going. A lot of mental growth this weekend. YSN. I feel sore the next day after vac extending. Is there anything I can do to speed up recovery from rest days? No, not really, because like we are limited by like how many stem cells in our dick, right? So like they got to do the work. If there's only 40 of them, they can only do 40, stem cells worth of work no matter how stimulated they are. So you just got to let it ride itself out. And excuse me, this cough won't go away. But like just staying relaxed, don't like over masturbate way too much, don't jerk it way too much. That's going to be your best bet. Like you can stretch it a little bit on your off days to make sure it heals right, but like you do not want to overwork the dick. That's going to be the main thing that's the issue. J Bets. Is a week of feeder sets just considered a break. I've noticed my EQ stinks, as you said, it was probably from overtraining. Um, I wouldn't say it's like a classical idea of like deloading or a break week because you're still doing work, but like it's going to be like active recovery. So like if we're talking about this from a bodybuilding standpoint, there would be days where you'd be doing your hard sessions and cardio, and then on active recovery days you'd be doing like light cardio or something different than what you normally do, whether it be like swimming or hiking or something like that, something that still keeps your body moving but does not necessarily fatigue you more than you already are. So like it's probably fine, but it won't give like the same soft tissue benefits potentially. Beatty, when you're reading the chat, you're so still. I think that the live stream is lagging. Well, one of the most important books I ever read was called Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. And that's what's kind of introduced me to a lot of like Zen thought. So I don't know if that's like finally transferred over to my movement patterns or iOS has a really good stabilization, but you know. King Arthur, what are your thoughts on low tension stretching for 8 hours per day for long term gains? So there's going to be a need for high tension to actually break down the tissue and then low tension to shape the tissue. I don't know if 8 hours is overkill or not, but like on paper, 8 hours of like low tension stuff is going to make sure you stay in that elongated state as long as possible. But it doesn't necessarily mean you'll gain. The main thing that actually causes long term tissue accrual is that high tension stuff. So you're going to need a little bit of high tension and then a relatively numerous amount of low tension to like, you know, optimize. But like finding out the sweet spot where it's not overtraining is a bit difficult. And you guys are going to come with me while I make sure my office door is closed. So it's not like I really care too much. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Little pickle. I made the mistake of doing girth work first. Now it seems I can't gain length anymore, even hanging 10 pounds. I'm telling you now, dude, it doesn't matter what order you do it in. I've been basically switching between length and girth. I am the thickest I have ever been. I'm still gaining length the easiest I ever had. It has nothing to do with the order. It more has to do that you're probably not hitting the right type of length training. So like if you're only doing 20 pounds for 10 minutes, you're not really going to get that stretch. You might be better off doing like 8 pounds for 40 minutes or even like 5 pounds for 60 minutes. You might actually get a better stretch with that because 10 pounds tends to be the spot where most guys basically get that stress response afterwards. So they actually contract a bit, and then that's not conducive for like obviously shape change. So that could be it. J Bets, happiness is a choice, bro. It definitely is, but like you get stuck in thought patterns, right? So like I am a naturally pissy guy, so like you can say I'm more of a brooder than like a violent anger, but like I'd always carry that cloud with me. And that's something I've been trying to work out more so that like my anger is what got me to do everything I wanted to do. Or, you know, guided most of my decisions. Now I'm trying to let go of that anger so I can actually be happy. And it's a lot easier said than done. Okay, Michael, what's the recommended pressure for a vacuum pump? So if you're just starting, 5 to 7 inches of mercury is going to be a very good starting point because most of you guys are going to feel slight discomfort with that. Some of you guys might be able to get up to 7 to 10. I don't necessarily recommend it right away. Still start with 5 to 7 and work your way up to 7 to 10 over the next month. Then, ideally speaking, anywhere from 15, or not 15, anywhere from 5 to 15 inches of mercury is going to be the working range for pumping. And it's just going to depend on how strong your tissue is. I've been pumping for a decade. I just got over 12 inches of mercury again after a few weeks off from pumping aggressively. So, yeah, it will fluctuate throughout your journey with PE as well. Okay, Eddie. Dag, new to pumping, new to be games hard and soft. Sorry, at 7x6, I shall see where I go. are in stock gain. So like if you're pumping, I can always guarantee you, you're probably going to gain like an inch of flaccid. Like it is like a crazy amount. And then particularly with the girth, because like that added weight of the girth is what's going to like drag down your dick. And I'm looking how stupid my hair looks in the chat. I'm getting this all cut off today, guys. So like I'm gonna basically have nothing but skin showing on the sides, hopefully. And that's gonna be the start of another chapter for me. Am I ever going to do video consultations again? Probably not. Like I am so busy that it makes it very hard for me to like actually schedule out time for people. And then like I kind of feel like it's a disservice to the entire community doing one-on-one chats. So like if I would do it, it would have to be like at least $300 a session at this point because of like how much value I put in my time. And I'm not trying to be facetious. It's just like I don't have time. So if it's going to be worth it for me, I gotta like actually make a decent bit from it. Let's see. The kid. My order of supplements from Leviathan are supposed to arrive today. Bought one of everything. How should I stack the supplements? Okay. So, virility, actually, I'm trying to think. Vitality would probably be better right before bed because ashwagandha has a calming effect. So that's going to help with sleep a decent bit. Safeguard and shield can be taken at any time, particularly best with some kind of food just because it helps with absorption. Vigor obviously is going to be best right before your workouts. Virility and fortitude. I notice fortitude kicks in within 20 to 30 minutes of me taking it. So like if you want to take that with, vigor, that's going to be fine, but you might get like a really big vasodilation spike. So be careful. And then, excuse me, guys, virility doesn't really matter when you, I'm dying. Virility doesn't really matter when you take it. So main thing is that you just get it in. It like gets a lot of pills is the real issue. So now let me clear my throat. Like guys, I literally just had this cough and that's it for a week. So that's just how annoying this has been. And like look how red my face is because I've been trying to hold in a cough for so long. Man. How much does mental health correlate to erection quality as KB? A lot. Like there's going to be a point like if you get so nervous or so much anxiety around sex, there is just no way you're going to get hard. And, like it's psychologically induced erectile dysfunction. I'm not 100% sure if it's like a medical term, but it is something that's been heavily looked at by a lot of doctors. And a lot of places won't actually prescribe you Cialis until you go to a psychologist, depending on like your initial screening. So yeah, it's like the main thing with sex is being able to relax, right? So like if you can't relax and get into the parasympathetic state, you're not going to get erect. Like it's like coded into us that we are not allowed to have sex when we are anxious. Now, if we translate that to be like, okay, we have a low tone of anxiety all the time, we can expect our flaccid to also be shriveled up because our body is literally told to not let blood into our genitals and get ready to fight. So not just with PE, but like sex in general and like mental health will really mess with erection quality if you're not careful. Forsaken, is this a split screen again? No, I'm in the office and I actually planned this to be mobile. So we are all here on one stream. Let's see. Hitman, I know this is a sensitive topic, but I've seen debates if non-bone press or bone press is an accurate form of measurement or not. Whoever says that non or bone press is not accurate are fucking idiots, and you should never take advice from them. And it's mainly the flat earthers of PE that don't understand that you need a stable like measurement point to actually know if you gained or not. Because like for example, I just lost a half an inch of my fat pad. My dick did not just get a magically half an inch bigger. I'm still 9 inches. It's just a half an inch more is showing, right? So, like, bone press is what you report. 8 inch non bone press, whatever, is going to be probably what you should be telling the ladies, if we're actually being honest. You tell them what the porn star size is because every other guy is. But yeah, bone press is the main thing that you should care about because I can guarantee you will have weight fluctuations throughout this entire process. Michael Moran, how long do you recommend to wear extenders? So high tension extenders like the Apex and Hog Stretcher, like 40 to 60 minutes every day. Low tension extenders, that's going to be like Phallus and Forte. That's going to be like 2 to 6 hours, and that's more so going to be more for shape training than it is actually the tissue breakdown and growth that you would see with the Apex. Okay. King Arthur, what methods? Okay, will I ever teach methods of subduction? I'm that's not me. I literally married my prom date, so I have no real experience in the dating world. I am exceptionally lucky. I met the girl of my dreams very early, and that was it. That being said, I could definitely tell you how to navigate and build a strong and healthy relationship, but like I cannot I can help you like at least get to the point where you can ask a woman out, but I cannot help you seal the deal. Like because it's more complicated than what I really know at this point. Yeah, I'm still here. I just saw the chat where I looked to still. Um, are there any benefits at all to soft pumping? Not at all, CSI, because like think about it this way. The muscles in your pelvis control the on and offs. So like if you're not even a little bit erect, those muscles are or spouts basically like the faucet is turned off so therefore blood can't flow and that's going to not allow you to get erect when you pump. So like you're really just going to be forcing it open and when you can just have it turned on at the right time to actually fill up. So like soft pumping never made any sense. And like happy holidays, Bezo. Bezo sent me a gift, and I'm not gonna wear it because it's a little bit of identity revealing on stream, but I have worn it a lot so far. So thank you, Bezo. Anyway, have the faucets fully open when you pump, or as much as you can to allow as much blood into your dick as possible. Is the best way to think of it. Okay, Poggy Boy. I'm coming back from 3 months of PE due to injury. What's the best way to build back up to higher pressures? How often should I increase pressure? So, first of all, why did you get injured? If it was because of higher pressure, then that was a sign that you're doing too much to begin with. Higher pressure is not what we're going for. We are looking for the pressure that causes the most expansion, and hello, destroyer, at the lowest level possible. So, like, for example, I could definitely teach myself to get up to 20 inches of mercury, but like that point is going to lead to so much bruising and discoloration. It makes no sense for me to do it when I can do it get gains at literally half the amount of pressure, right? So, what you need to figure out, and like we have calculations for this now with the strain and fatigue rate at peakmalphysique.com, there's calculators where you can see if your workload is too much from like a physiotherapy perspective. So, for girth, for example, you only want to be about 4 to 8% bigger after your session. Anything more than that's just chronic swelling. Then for length, it's going to be about 2 to 4% bigger after your session. And this is stretch flaccid versus erect girth for pumping. But like in general, don't worry about increasing pressure. Start with like half of what you did before and then slowly add in more and see how your erection quality responds from that. Okay, Hitman, when Apex does get to your store, can you clamp after sets as well? Because there's no expansion, there's no need to. I don't know what you're asking. I'm not going to get hard clamps if that's what you're asking. You can clamp after any routine if that's what you're asking. How much tension is recommended? So, like, the starting point for like tissue deformation is going to be like anywhere from 4 to 5 pounds on paper. But you can start seeing like stress at 2 pounds. So like when you start at like 2.5 pounds, 20 minutes, and then you're gonna get a whole bunch of erection quality improvements right off the bat from that. And then within your first month, we want to get you up to about 5 pounds. And then we start increasing the time. So like if we start with 20 minutes, we're gonna go to like 25 minutes the next month, 30 minutes the next month, 35, etc. Fritzy, how's it going with the discoloration? Um, I won't say that's not a priority of mine, but like I've been more tempted to try stupid stuff that has aggravated it more. So like any progress I did make, I lost because I was just testing something else. So that is where I'm at. We don't have a skincare routine yet, but like I can tell you now, the massages between sets help keep the discoloration at bay. It's just I didn't do that for like a week or two, and I'm back to where I was at. Okay. Zode, could you discuss switching from the beginner's routines from my books to intermediate? Specifically, should I wait for expansion gains to slow or stop? I mean, yeah. So, like, if we're talking about this from like a completely empirical way, like when you stop eating is when you change your routine because like that means whatever you have now is dialed in to the point where you're seeing gains. And like if you change anything, you might just stress out the tissue too much. So, like, if you're still able to gain with the beginner's routine 3 months after you're supposed to switch from it, there's no reason to switch anyway. And like honestly, I think that's where a lot of guys mess up is that they jump to a new routine too soon because they're afraid of not seeing gains. But really the case is once you find what's giving you gains, squeeze out as much gain as you can from it before moving on because otherwise you might just make it too hard too fast. Okay. I plan on starting PE on Wednesdays as Forsaken. You've been in this chat for 6 months, but when it comes to manuals, you do 30 minutes, but is those 30 minutes in the stretch position? So we do like 10 minutes of massage and then 20 minutes of stretching, right? So like the 20 minutes of actual stretch is time under tension. Um, it does not account for rest, no. Okay, Jesse, I started vacuum hanging at 2.5 pounds to elongate my ligaments as I have a high exit point. What kind of sensation should I be looking for? I don't want to hurt my Johnson. For ligaments specifically, it's gonna burn because like those actually have like the stretch sensory inputs because they're ligaments, right? So like for me, it feels like from here all the way up to here, there's some kind of stretching sensation. And even at like the heaviest point, it feels like a burning sensation, like an actual stretch of the muscle, for example. So yeah, like it ligament stretching kind of sucks if I'm being honest. So at what age did I start Ask Fritzy? 15 or 16. I'm pretty sure 16, but I do have memories of doing it a little earlier than I thought. So I'm going to say 16, but it could have been like late 15. Okay, DJ Hartsmelt on r slash Skinny Bear. Someone's put potassium iodine and liquid iodine on their dicks for 3 weeks. It fully removed all discoloration through the peeling process. Have you seen this? I have seen this. Like, it works, right? But my main issue is the safety profile, and like iodine's pretty fucking toxic. Okay, like iodine is given to people when they have radiation poisoning because it helps like with all the free radicals from radiation poisoning. So if you take too much of it, you can literally fuck up your DNA. And putting it somewhere right beside your reproductive tract is probably not a good idea. And like I can almost guarantee you, you would have the same results with a more modern version of a skin peel, say like glycolic acid, or there's a whole bunch of them at this point, and it'd be safer if you just did it that way. I would actually, I did have some pretty good success with glycolic acid when I did do a deconditioning break like 2 years ago using glycolic acid. Like we're talking like a 30 to 50% removal of discoloration. But like I did not like take any pictures of it, unfortunately. But I know it works. So what? Okay. Um, So Tristan Tigert, I think 6 inches is average. So the average is going to be about 5 1/4 to 5 3/4, depending on what study you're going off of. 6 inches is going to actually be more like, the equivalent of being 6 feet to 6'1". Like if we're talking about in perspective of height. So like it's common enough, but it's relatively uncommon at the same time. Like most guys are not going to be over 6 feet, right? Most guys actually aren't going to be over 6 inches. Quentin Hoffer, and this is the one I was laughing at. Your amazing knowledge of gods. Which is the most successful pump? Like, if we're talking sales, it has to be Baphomet. But if we're talking like actual practical use, it's any air pump of a gauge because like they really don't break down. The worst thing you have to do is replace the vacuum handle, and that's like 20 bucks. And then like you can do a whole bunch of different variations in pressure and interval styles, and then fetish pumping even if you wanted to. So for me it's always going to be some kind of vacuum pump, and I'm telling you now, and I sell these guys, that they all come out of the same factory, like the same factory from China they all come out of. So just look for where you can get the best price or from the people that you trust. Are you a DJ guy? I mean, like I listen to I listen to techno and, drum and bass and dubstep if that's what you're asking, but um I'll listen to anything but country. That's like my limit. You're good looking today. It's the iPhone filters, and I actually did take care of my skin. Hopefully, once I get this taken back, I can actually look a little bit prettier, but it is what it is. Okay, Podgy boy, thoughts on very low pressure pumping after working sets instead of soft clamping? That is probably just a good way to get a lot of edema because like we can only expand so much. So what would make the most sense in that case is actually just putting a cock ring on after the fact for like 20 to 20 minutes max, to be honest. And that's going to help you change the shape over time without putting too much pressure on your lymphatic system. Bird flu. I don't think it's bird flu, J Bets, by the way. This is just a really annoying virus. Like, I don't even have a fever. Nothing is impacted except when I lay down to go to bed. I cough like a maniac for an hour, and then I fall asleep. But that's that's where I'm at. Yeah, what's good? BD, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. How many times would it be safe to wear cock rings as retention throughout the day? I tried 5 10-minute sessions spread out with no side effects. I don't know if I see a point of doing it that many times, but as long as you give a chance for the lymphatic channels to drain, there's no real reason that you couldn't wear it like upwards of 12 times a day, right? It just comes down to like, why would you do that at that point? But remember, every time you compress the lymphatic channel, there's always a chance that you can cause a blockage. So I would recommend not doing it that often. Like, honestly, it might make more sense to pump up that many times a day than it would to wear a cock ring that many times a day. So EF, Cialis gave me some minor face swelling if I sleep after taking it. Is this bad? Goes away after an hour of waking up. Now, I'd say that's relatively common. So, like, the same tissues in your sinuses are the same tissues in your penis. They're both sinusoidal, endothelial, smooth muscle. So that's the same kind of cavity. So, like, if Cialis works your penis and causes vasodilation there, it causes a shit ton of face swelling. So like for me, I can't really take Cialis in high doses because like my face just turns beet red and I can't breathe throughout my nose. But like I can't breathe throughout my nose anyway. Um David Guetta. Anyway, um yeah, so like swelling from it completely common. That much swelling after bed, you might want to lower your dose. Or after you go to bed because like you're just sleeping and then that pressure builds up. So if you're taking 10 milligrams, maybe go down to 5, see if that helps. This version of live, I can't go back in time and speed it up to catch up. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Um, yeah, I can just use my laptop next time. I wasn't really thinking all that much. But there will be a replay Waking Dream. I know that for sure. Joey, I had lymphangiitis, sclerosis for about 2.5 months, and not much improvement. What should I do? So, what have you done is the real question. I would start massaging the trouble area with your thumbs. It's called lymphatic drainage massage. Use some heat beforehand to like help dilate. You might want to look into some anti-inflammatories like you know, aspirin. You could also look into taking Vigor often because like if you increase your blood flow, the lymphatic system will also work and drain as well because they're all connected. But in general, it just might take some time if you, especially if you do some like the massage stuff, that's really going to help break it down because really all it is some kind of clog. Um some kind of clog in the lymphatic system. So if you can get the clog to, fix itself by manual removal, you'll be much better off. And Kenny Wallace, my wife married me for money. Luckily, she's bad at math. My wife married me for potential. So that's where I'm at. More accurately, she started dating me because of the potential. And then, she happened to be right. I lost my spot. Okay. Anthony, BD, I want to thank you so much for your time to educate us and helping out so many men out here. I'm looking forward to the next year in my PE journey. Thank you again. You are welcome. And this is something I really just need to focus on a lot more because, like, again, we talked about this a little bit, but like, I've always had a bit of a dark cloud surrounding me, just like with repressed anger and stuff. So it's very hard for me to see the goodness, or at least it was. So like my main focus now is just helping as many guys as I can. So that's going to be like my focus for the rest of the, or up through 2026 and beyond. I guess next year's 2025. You get the point of, just focusing on helping people rather than all the bullshit that goes around with it. Forsaken, I did not see your questions unless I already answered it by accident. So if you can copy and paste it, that'd be great. Let's see. Jack Hunter says he's 7.5 by 5 non-bone press. Is that good? That's like the equivalent of being like 6'8", and then the girth is going to be the equivalent of being well over 6 feet tall as well. So like if you could get your girth up a half an inch, I can guarantee you would have a porn star dick. Like that is a ridiculously big size for like a normal person to have. Waking Dream, since you're on, could you tell me if that discount code was programmed for Leviathan? Okay, Vit PT. I'm doing hanging plus clamping, pumping in the same day. Am I overtraining? Oh, so hanging plus clamping plus pumping. So, not necessarily. Um, and okay, thank you, Waking Dream. But basically, there's a spectrum of work, right? Clamping is going to be the most intense thing you can do to your dick because you're literally strangling it, right? So you want to limit how much you do that. Like I tell most people to only do it 2 to 3 times a week for 10 minutes. And then pumping, that's going to be like a moderate kind of workload. So like you could do 20 to 30 minutes of it every day. But like, it's going to depend on how much pressure you're using. And then length, that's going to also depend on like the pressure you're using or tension you're using. But like you can do anywhere from 20 minutes of it to like literally 4 to 6 hours of it, depending on what weight you're using, right? But in general, if you're trying to combine as much shit as possible, it's more so that you're going to like confuse your dick more than actually tell it to make it grow. Bro, get your hair cut. That's what I'm doing today, like 4 p.m. I'm getting most of it off. I'm going to see if I can actually donate it, but. And then you guys won't be able to handle me at that point. So Robbie Butter. I'm trying to go from 5.5 to 4.6 to 7 by 5. Is that possible in 4 years? That would be my dream size. It's definitely possible. Like you're not that far off in girth. So like if I were you, actually, I'd focus on getting to 5 inches in girth, and then work on length because like trust me, length's just a lot easier. Um, but yeah, and you should gain a little bit of length while you train girth too. So that would be my recommendation. In 4 years, you could probably it's going to take a bit to get to length, but you can get that girth in like 6 months if you just started. The Ulysses. I'm switching to a girth routine. 5 days of interval pumping plus 1 to 2 days of interval hang. Would this be a good split? Um, I don't think you need to do the hanging unless you're like trying to retain the like length gains, but like if you do enough pumping, it should just happen, right? I would actually tell you to cut the length work and then do massage stuff before interval pumping. And then what you really should be doing is pumping more often. So, like lighter sessions throughout the week as well. So, like you have your working sets and then you have the bloating sets that keep you in that biggest state possible for as long as possible. And that's going to really give you your best gains, I think. Also, Ulysses would like you guys to like the stream, which would help me, but you don't have to because I know this is like your public account. So, and you're welcome, Ulysses. Let's see. So hold on. There's two questions about Pneuma right at the here. Thoughts on Pneuma and BD? I spoke to a guy who did PMMA, and he is around 8.5 by 9 inches in girth shaft. Crazy. So Pneuma is the implant. So that's a silicone sleeve that they put around your dick. Um, I wouldn't recommend getting it because like that has a relatively high failure rate, and like I've seen people actually lose some length from it because it like causes capsular contracture almost, and that's when a surgery causes a bit more scar tissue than it really should, and it causes a shape change that we didn't really want. So Pneuma, not that great. If you really want to do it, I would get to your length that you really want to be, maybe a little bit longer than that, and then do Pneuma. But really, I would tell you if you want to really just get surgery for whatever reason, you would do your length work first and then do PMMA afterwards because PMMA actually turns into like a collagen structure. And the nice thing about PMMA is that you can keep getting it again and again. As Forsaken already said, you could literally put on eight and a, like, 2 to 3 to even 4 inches of girth. And it's going to be real enough tissue. It's not going to be like hard, but it's going to be usable. Meanwhile, you're going to be pretty much limited to whatever size Pneuma implant they have. What's my favorite form of cardio? Honestly, it would be basketball. Like I'd like doing my own shooting drills and shit, but like I don't have a good court for that. So right now it's just uphill treadmill and then ellipticals with the free moving arms because like that's enough low impact on my joints, but I can do it for a long enough period to actually see a sizable change in like, cardiovascular health and fat loss. But like for me, since basketball in general is challenging and like mentally stimulating, a lot more fun, and I would just do that twice to 3 times as long as I would do my traditional cardio. Hitman, will you add extenders on your store at some point? So I don't want to go into too much detail, but I am paying for a lot of extenders today or tomorrow. So yeah, they'll be on very soon. Forsaken, you forgot to tell him, BD, that if you're 9 inches girth, you can only fuck trolls. I don't want to introduce you guys to new insecurities, but like if you ever seen a bad dragon dildo, there are people that will take that size willingly. There's also like a store called Blissful Creations that make really big cock sleeves. There are subreddits dedicated to people showing off how much they can take. So I don't know if 9 inches in girth is actually that problematic if they have a long-term partner, but if they don't, it definitely could be. Okay, so your manual stretch. So basically 5 minutes on each hand stretching, do that 6 times. So for sake, and what I actually think is best is you do 20-second to 40-second pulses instead for like 30 minutes. And that's going to break down as much tissue as possible while also making sure your arm doesn't tire out so that way you get the maximum stretch. All right, Joey, I have answered your question. So if you keep spamming it in the chat, I'm going to have to block you, just so you know. Okay, Mark. Watch a video on tunica malleability. Done. Have 2 minutes before hanging after watching. Got a mini massage gun off of Amazon. Will that work? So I don't really recommend the massage gun anymore. I wish I could just, go back and remove content, but it's really hard. Zero, I don't know if I saw your question yet. I'll check in a second. But what we're really looking for is like that tissue release, right? So you can do it with your fingers. The massage gun might be a little too rough. Excuse me, guys. Man, this cough is something else today. But I've been actually looking to something called vibration therapy instead of the massage gun. So it covers more of your dick and it doesn't go nearly as deep with the stroke length. But because it covers more of your dick, you get a lot more of the good effects from it. But that's not really this point of tunica release. So like honestly, massage is going to be a bit more effective than like the mechanical massage. Okay, I've been looking up and down. I've been trying to figure out how mail hanger can give someone extra girth. So, any kind of compression hitman of the tissue for an extended period of time will cause irregular growth patterns of blood vessels because it's looking for a way to relieve pressure. So, like, let's say you've been hanging 20 to 30 pounds off your dick for 3 to 5 years, wherever the grip is going to feel that pressure in the blood vessels and they're going to start to burst a little bit and then spread looking away to break and relieve the pressure. Now heavy hanging in general really increases base girth because like there's a bunch of connective tissues keeping your dick right on your pelvis, right? So you can grow a lot of fibrous connective tissue at your base, therefore base girth, with heavy hanging, and that's probably one of the few like surefire ways to do it to like get good shape change down there. All right, at least Joey saw that I answered his question. All right. CSI, if I get a small amount of red spots after pumping each time, should I lower the pressure and time inside the pump? So first thing you probably want to do is pump up slower because like really what that is that the pressure is too strong too fast and the tissue stretches too fast and ruptures. So we want to just slowly pump up, not try to get up there as fast as possible. I do like a full pulse a second, but it's going to really depend on how much tube you fill in. Like for example, I could do like 2 pulses a second with my 2.25 versus my 2 1/8 just because there's a lot more room in the 2 1/4. Then you probably just want to lower pressure if you're still getting them after that. And then if you're still getting them, take a week off and then try L-citrulline with it. And that's going to be your best bet. And then Dominique called us weirdos. The thing is, dude, you're still watching. So I don't know what that tells me about you, but Nacho Macho, Happy New Year. Everything you do, thank you for everything you do and helping us with PE gains. Here's the next year and many more. Yeah, I hope next year is better than this year. Like this year was a fucking just slog fest for me. Like I got scammed if I didn't tell you guys about that. I have a branding rework I have to do with Leviathan still, and then just a lot of like interpersonal bullshit that I'm trying to protect myself from next year. So John Wisby. Any suggestions for turkey neck? My ball sex halfway down my shaft. So you mean that it's just like here. So your ball sack starts like here. Yeah, so that could be a few things, but like part of it is genetics, and part of it is like if you had a tight circumcision, or more accurately, a botched circumcision, then anything else. So like when I was young, I had a relatively tight circumcision, and then I grew an inch of my dick, my ball sack moved up with it. So what you got to do is stretch your shaft skin so that way your um, ball sack moves back, right? So there's a device called the fork clip that you can do it passively, but like I've had a lot better success of using like an extender when I did my length work because it literally keeps your ball sack back, and then therefore the skin has to stretch with it. And then someone already said foreskin restoration with pumping, but like any kind of foreskin restoration is going to help move that sack back. Is it true that a zombie virus was discovered in Canada? I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about this. I didn't hear of this, but like, what is it? Is it cordyceps? There's a mushroom, and if you guys are familiar with The Last of Us, like the video game and I guess the HBO series, that type of mushroom infection is an actual thing. It infects insects. So like there have been zombie viruses. There's a bunch of zombie viruses in the animal kingdom already. They just haven't been able to get to something as complex as humans yet. So Lote, when you know that you have permanent results. So you'll see a really fast, dramatic increase in flexibility at first. And like you can say like two 2 to 5% of your gains are from flexibility increase. So like if you gain and get up to 8 inches, you're probably going to lose about an eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch, just from the loss in flexibility. Then anything after that's permanent, but it's going to be totally dependent on your erection quality. So like if you have a shit lifestyle outside of PE, you're going to lose a lot of erection quality, and therefore the gains are not permanent in that regard. But the new tissue sticks around. Okay, 0. If I have some fibrosis, is daily tunica release beneficial? Multiple times a day is beneficial because the more often you can get that tissue to release and break down a bit, the better. Now, you can overwork it, but like really, we're just trying to get the metallomatrix proteinase to be pretty active in that area to break down that fibrosis so that way you can get it to heal in a healthier, more aligned state. JBets. PE since March 2023, and I can't figure out why I'm not gaining. A little over 1/2 an inch in length, but no girth. I've added feeder sets, but so far nothing significant. Overtraining. March 2023, no length, no girth. So, like, I would have to see your whole routine to actually see the issue, but it could be overtraining. But, like, if you're not doing, like, shape retaining, that could actually be a different part of it. But yeah, I'd need a lot more information, my guy. So Dominique says he got 30,000 in a t-shirt. That's really nothing, but all right. And I'm not on YouTube pumping pee. I got my money up and my pee is pumped. That's weird that you have a money fetish, my guy. But you shouldn't be happy that you only made $30,000 on a t-shirt. That's actually kind of pathetic if you ask me. So my question to you, Dominique, is why are you here talking to us when you could be getting up your money even more? Oh, for sake, you didn't have to remove him. He's just, a weak little troll that thinks $30,000 is a lot of money, but. All right. Benuma, a ridiculous idea, says Grizzly Adams. I think it was poorly thought out. Not so much that it's a bad idea, because, like, size insecurity is a thing, right? We have, So many guys will get insecurity. I already said this, right? We have breast implants. The problem is like the dick is functionally different than breast, right? So like it needs to be able to get hard, and then because it's so sensitive and tiny in perspective to a breast, it is very hard to pull off some kind of implant in it. Yeah, hold on. Flies and soup, 30K for a shirt. You got scammed. Yeah, that's what I'm like. If you actually bought a shirt for 30,000, like my dude, like how much Bitcoin could you buy? I guess only like a third of a Bitcoin, but yeah, like that is such a bad waste of money if you actually did that. So, BD, how does pumping affect the dorsal vein? So, any pressure system should cause an increase to all the vascularity that's under pressure, right? So, your dorsal vein will increase in diameter, but it should be proportional to how everything else increases. Unless you have like piss poor erection quality, then you could see that vascularity increase faster. But in general, most people that have like a huge dorsal vein had one genetically already, and then their erection quality went through the roof and it looked better. Okay, 0. On Calc SD, 5 inches seems pretty common, but I find that hard to believe. So mid shaft erect girth. So the problem with Calc SD, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of stopped pushing people there, is that they introduced some bad data. And two, we don't know if the girth is being measured base or mid shaft, right? Because like if we're going off of mid shaft for me, that's 6 inches and like some change, and then if we're going off of base for me, that's 7 inches and some change. So like that is like completely different size scaling, right? So what I would tell most people to do is measure from their second largest point. So for me, that's going to be like right before my ball sack, and that would be probably the most accurate way to compare to like Calc SD. But like I'm assuming most guys are a little thicker at the base, and like it really just depends how they measure, and it's very hard to tell with just like a meta-analysis like that. Okay, Forsaken, is 20 minutes of pumping the sweet spot? I assume 15 minutes of pumping is enough for a beginner. Honestly, 10 minutes is enough for a beginner, but 15 is probably going to be your best bet. Joey, I appreciate everything you do. Thank you. I'm trying to take words of niceness to heart, so thank you. I do appreciate it. Um, Now, I did already answer this. Someone told me to cut my hair in the chat. I am cutting my hair today, actually. And it's not that I don't like having long hair, but it's not that it necessarily matches with my own perception of myself. And like a good way to get, like a mental change started is by changing your appearance. So like it was either getting a tattoo or getting my hair cut. And like, so my bangs right now are like 15 inches long. It is definitely time for a trim, to say the least. But like, I'm going basically a full fade, and then we'll see how much I leave on top. But like, I just need a change. And if you guys actually had long hair for a while, it gets very annoying, especially when you're sweaty like me. I was on Reddit and came across the sub Gurf Gauze. Man, I need to step on my game. Dude, those are all LARPers. All of those guys are either just pumpers or they just make up stories to tell each other to, bust their nuts to. I'm telling you now, there's not that many guys that big. Just straight up. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where I left because, YouTube chat doesn't like to work with me here. And I'm actually going to have to end this at 3 today, guys, because I got to take some packages to Staples and then get my hair cut. So, okay. J.I. Sorry, BD, I wasn't in real time. It was back. I didn't even get to see your answer my question. I just heard when you said you have to block me if I kept commenting. I mean, you're good, dude. Like, it happens. Just, I try to answer every single question. So, like, you only have to ask once. And, like, if I did skip you, say you skipped me, and then I'll probably go back and find it, okay? And Chrome, the only reason why it's a different format is because it's on my phone and I'm here in my dungeon. So, yeah, I'll be back to my desktop soon enough, unless I have to be in here tomorrow, but I doubt it. So, Carranza, is increasing gland size possible? For sure. Like, my glands have probably grown at least an inch in length and an inch in girth since I've started doing this in the past 3 to 5 years. Like, when I started using a vacuum hanger and a pump, that's when I started really growing my glands. So, it's definitely possible, but it's going to be a bit limited by your like shape now. So like if you have a bit of a stubby glands to begin with, it's still going to be a little bit stubby after the fact compared to the rest of your shaft. I saw Perv cranking out crazy amounts of pulses really fast on his video. I don't know what exactly constitutes really fast, but it should be about 15 to 20 seconds every pulse because it's that's how long like it takes the tissue to fully elongate, and then every time we release we get more tissue breakdown. So yeah. Okay, Zero, do you think Calc SD is accurate when it comes to girth? Okay, you asked this, but it's saying that 5 out of 100 men have 5.5. What do you think? It would really depend on, again, what study you use. Like, their Western average is absolutely fucked right now because they took one with volunteers in it because they're looking, the study itself was looking to see if there's a correlation between, like, nose size and shoe size, I believe. And obviously, if it's voluntary, you're just going to get above average guys, tainting the pool. So if that is in the rest of the data as well, it's still going to skew pretty high. Like we're talking at least an eighth an inch in one direction or another. But 5.5, and it also depends if they're measuring base girth, right? Like like I said, I would assume most people have a bigger base girth than their mid shaft just because of, the laws of physics. But yeah, I would say 5 out of 100 men have a 5.5 plus. Yeah, I would probably agree with that because like 5.5 is thick, and like you got to think about condom sales too. So like magnums will fit a guy up to like 5.5 inches. So Magnum XLs will fit a guy up to like 5 3/4, and then Durex XLs are going to fit a guys up to 6 inches. I rarely see Magnum XLs anymore, and there's only like one store I know that sell not Magnum XLs, Durex XLs. So yeah, that would make sense because there needs to be enough market for those companies to sell that big of a product, but at the same time, like it's going to be a relatively specialty item. Okay, BD, what do you think of scar tissue buildup? It's possible if you do how Hank and I teach, it's very unlikely to happen. The way scar tissue builds up with PE is either catastrophic injury, and you'd know it if that happened to you, right? And then if you chronically irritate the tissue more than it can handle. So like if we just look at it from numbers perspective, if you're chronically stretching to like 106 to 100% or 108%, so 106 to 108, that's going to be actually micro failure of the tissue. You're going to get small little rips. And then the tissue and the stem cells are like, okay, we have to fix this. This is going to be really bad if we don't cover it somehow. So we're going to start just producing collagen all willy-nilly instead of working it into the existing weave. So that's how you would get like scarification from PE, is if you're chronically overdoing it and then not giving enough time to heal between sessions. Okay. All right, guys. So again, I gotta do a hard stop at 3. So I'm gonna just stop with CSI here. At what point in the future do you think PE will be as mainstream as fitness is today? I really doubt it's going to be as mainstream as fitness because most guys are willing to accept being average. I know that may be shocking to you, some guys, but like, again, think about how many people are so obese here in America. We have the knowledge, we have the ability to be fit. It's easier to stay as you are, comfortable and obese. Even though they don't like how they look in the mirror, it takes too much effort for them to fix it. Same thing goes with PE. So I really doubt it's going to be any more popular than fitness. And like at the same time, there's going to be a bunch of people, particularly like doctors, that are going to be telling you like this stuff doesn't work because there's no medical evidence of it. So there's always going to be that negative push against it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's always going to have this stigma with it. So yeah, hold on. Sorry, Mac asked an interesting question. This is going to be my last one. Sorry for skipping everyone. Save those questions for tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Um, I'm a bit slow. I had a stroke 3 years ago. How do you read your pumps in millimeters of mercury? You and Hank talk about the top big numbers or the small ones. So millimeters will be on the inside ring. Inches are going to be on the outside ring. And I hope that clears it up. If you don't know um, what I mean by that, I'm going to drop the Discord to Peak Mel Physique and someone can help you there. And then I got to head out, guys. And my computer is really slow right now. All right. There's the Discord. So if you guys want your questions answered right away, probably just ask them there. Otherwise, I'll be back on 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, probably in my home office where I can do all the fancy stuff. So I'll see you then, and thanks for tuning in, guys.